Belize received FAIR on its reef report card. It's an improvement from the last progress report. The Reef Health Index is at 2.8 and is in line with the regional average for the Mesoamerican Reef, which stretches along the coasts of Belize, Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras. Of the four countries, Honduras got a good grade of 3.0 for its reef report. Conservationists say Belize can work harder for a better grade.
For Belize, our Reef Health Index has increased from the last report card, which was 2.5, and we've gone up to 2.8. So that is the regional average. So we are right in the average, but it is an improvement. And so that's the sum total of these four indicators of reef health that we look at.
Belize can do better. It's doing better, but it can do better. To move from poor to fair is something that we should take note of. But definitely, I think fair is fair, and we need to be in good or we need to be in excellent. So I'm really working towards the day that we can get all of Belize's marine assets in the blue category, which would mean that we're in excellent shape.
Researchers studied 94 sites in Belize to identify threats and devise responses for the reef's health. Coral cover, herbivorous fish biomass, and commercial fish biomass have shown improvements. Fleshy macroalgae cover is still troubling. These are plant-like marine species that outcompete, overgrow, and replace seagrass and coral reef habitats.
Coral cover has increased. Our fish biomass has increased, both commercial fish and herbivorous fish, very slightly, but it is an increase. Unfortunately, the one indicator that is the bad news is the fleshy macroalgae. That has continued to increase, and that's the one we don't want to see. It competes with coral and good things for space, and it can overgrow the reef and make it look fuzzy and brown. We protected parrotfish back in 2009, and we have actually now seen in Belize that the biomass of that fish has been increasing. And just this year, we noted a slight decrease in the macroalgae in just Belize. So we have some indication that this is beginning to work. But overall, for the whole Mesoamerican Reef, fleshy macroalgae is our biggest problem.
But the parrotfish population isn't enough to address the fleshy macroalgae. Dr. McPhail says Belize needs to explore other herbivorous solutions like the long-spined sea urchin. And then there's also the problem of nutrient and sewage runoffs that must be addressed.
The places where that urchin has come back are absolutely clean and beautiful. So we're going to look at ways that science can intervene and do some studies and try to help that urchin come back. There's also the Caribbean king crab that is a great herbivore. If it comes back, or we can help maybe through aquaculture reseed some of that crab onto the reef, we can also potentially have less macroalgae. But the difficult thing that we're seeing is nutrients and sewage treatment not being improved over this time frame, and the fact that when you have all these nutrients and the sewage actually has viruses and other pathogens in it, that is leading to algal overgrowth and actually can damage the coral too through viruses and diseases that the coral gets.
More replenishment zones, awareness, and action remain critical to the reef's health.
3% of our territorial sea is in these protected zones, protected areas that actually don't allow fishing. Only 3%. That's not enough. In those areas, we see abundance of fish. We see a higher health than anywhere else. But 3% can't reseed 97%. So there is a target to have 10% in full protection, and I hope we can, if we meet that target and begin to monitor that, I think we'll see that it's actually probably worth it to even go up to 20%.
It is really important for us to be informed of regulations that exist, for us to take note of what's happening, what you can see in terms of changes, and communicate that. Because if we together, and we know what Belizean unity can do, if together we can all play a role in making the Belize Barrier Reef as strong as it needs to be, then that's better for all of us.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.